Okay, looks like I'm live. Okay. Hey, what's up? Oh, I guess I do have a few people on right now. I didn't know, I honestly didn't think that there would be anyone on yet. I hope that you guys had a good 4th of July if you're in the United States. If you are from the United States, let me know what you did, if you did anything. Hey Lucy, it's good to see you again. So the 4th of July was yesterday for the United States, and for those of you who are not from the States, obviously the 4th of July is just celebrating our independence from Britain, and we do that through cookouts and fireworks and stuff. And this year I did not partake in any of those activities. I just did the shorts that I was working on shorts for the channel actually. Stayed home and rewatched Lord of the Rings for the 4th time. Oh, for the 4th yesterday. Wanted to chill. Yeah. Can you remind me, are those the movies? Because I've seen the movies a long time ago, and I remember they were really good. I don't remember if there's a TV show, so correct me if I'm wrong. I assume that you watched the movies. Yeah, Lord of the Rings is a very popular series. Oh yeah, and the books. And I believe it started with the books, just like Harry Potter. I was more into Harry Potter. I didn't really get into Lord of the Rings. Not that I didn't like it, I just never got into it. I remember the original movies being really good. And I think I watched The Hobbit movie. I don't know if there's been multiple of them, but I remember The Hobbit movie was more recent. What types of books interest you, if any? Do you have any preference for fiction or nonfiction? I would say, so when I was in grade school, I read all the Harry Potter books, and I really enjoyed those, so I do enjoy fiction. And as of recent, I have not been reading any books. A few years ago, I got a Kindle, so I was reading a little bit more. And when I was reading, a couple years ago, I was actually reading some series by a couple different Japanese authors. Like, I think they're called light novels. So it's novels that, the book version of series that sometimes get turned into either like manga or anime. I was reading the novels, and between, the specific one that I was reading is called Classroom of the Elite, and I really liked the books a lot more than the anime, because I did watch the anime. I had breakfast at a local volunteer fire department fundraiser and stayed home after that. I went to a baseball game on the evening of the 3rd. Wow, that's eventful. What did you have for breakfast? What were they offering? Let's see. Oh, shoot. I don't even know how I got the oak planks in the first place. And I don't know why there's so many fucking mobs. It's pretty crazy. Do you watch a lot of anime? No, not really, honestly. I have watched anime, but I would say throughout high school I was playing Japanese video games, like they're called visual novels. They're basically like stories made into a video game. I really enjoyed those. There was one called Clannad, and I've played like 700 hours. Not that much, but a lot. I really liked that one. Anything by Visual Arts Key. That's the company that makes those games. Those games are really good. Oh, you've played visual novels, so you know what I'm talking about. I love anime, waiting for Chainsaw Man to come out. Isn't that already out? Hasn't that started? I remember seeing promotions for that anime. I haven't seen the anime though. I assume you mean like the new season. Eggs, pancakes, bacon, sausage, orange juice, and coffee. Yeah, I assume that it's like the standard American breakfast, which I do enjoy. I like anything standard. I mean, I love breakfast. Breakfast is like one of my favorite types of meals, and I do think that America does it right with our traditional things, our traditional, like when you go to Denny's or something and you get or you go to McDonald's and you get the big breakfast or whatever, you know. Nothing beats that. Speaking of McDonald's, I recently downloaded the app so I can, I've been going there, 'cause I go there. It's my favorite place to go to if I'm eating out, 'cause it's cheap and it's also like really good. And I've been using the app to like get deals and stuff. It's been really fun. It seems like a lot to eat in the morning. Yeah. I mean, it's very American. It's a nice big loud start to the morning. I'm trying to decide for this house right here if I start over with the oaks, take the oak planks out and start over with the spruce, or go try to find an oak tree. Oh, you're from California. I lived in California when I was growing up, actually, and in and out. I would say McDonald's is like my go-to. McDonald's is my number one because it was always there for me, and it always will be there for me because it's so accessible, and it's so, it's just so perfect. Everything is so there's nothing, what's the word? There's nothing obtrusive or offensive about the flavor of anything, and I like that. You know, I'm sure some people would say that it's bland, but I think they have it all down. Like, one of my favorite things to get is the fish fillet. I think that's a super underrated sandwich from McDonald's, and they have like the sauce on it. It's really good. But I will say that In-N-Out is really good. Um, I I live on the East Coast now, and I don't have In-N-Out. But if I did, I would go regularly. I think I remember, correct me if I'm wrong, but it's pretty cheap. I think the thing that I like about In-N-Out is that I believe they source their ingredients either locally or you know, they do it in a sustainable way, and I remember their ingredients are very good. Filet o fish. You guys like filet o fish? That's great. I skipped the sausage. I love eating at Denny's and McDonald's when I can. Yeah. I always imagine if, you know, 'cause my work is walkable, I can walk to work. Um, but if I had to commute to work, I would literally eat at McDonald's like every day. It would become, I would at least get their coffee because their coffee is so good. I can't get enough of their iced vanilla coffee because they have a sugar-free option, and I get the sugar-free one because it tastes exactly the same. And, you know, you're cutting down on sugar, so I would, I would, if I were to choose to be a 9 to 5er, you know, like a blue collar type of life, I would be one of those guys that goes to the same McDonald's every day or every week at least, and I would get like the same thing like all the time, and I would just be like a regular. I used to go to the McDonald's in New Zealand. I'm from the UK, long way to go for a Mackie D. Are they not? Do they not have McDonald's in the UK? I assume they do. Are you saying that it's hard to find? By the way, I was able to figure out how to see your guys' chat while, like, on my screen rather than having to look down. That's why I'm able to, it's so much easier to just look to the side and see the comments. So if you were on last time and you said something and I wasn't able to get to it, it's part of it is because I wasn't able to see it because it was hard. I was looking at my iPad. You still need to recreate their tartar sauce. Yeah, tartar sauce is what the Filet-O-Fish has, and that's literally my favorite part. It's so good. Alright, I need to make a decision here. Yeah, the Filet-O-Fish is just amazing. I would say their chicken sandwich is also really good. I actually only tried their chicken sandwich recently, because I would always just get a chicken sandwich from, or I would just, if I wanted chicken, I would get it from Popeyes. And if I'm gonna be honest, I prefer the McDonald's chicken sandwich over Popeyes. I guess it's just me. I enjoy it better. It's just more simple. Alright. Let me protect myself with some walls. They do have them in the UK. It was just more local in New Zealand. Just down the road. Oh, that makes sense. I have a friend in the UK I really want to visit. If you have any places that you recommend that I visit when I go there, please let me know. Probably won't be for a while, but I think my friend lives, out of the city. He doesn't live in London. He lives more in the countryside, which uh, I would like to visit. He lives in a village, and I think I said this last stream, but I visited Spain. That's one of the... I visited Spain and I visited Japan. Those are the two countries that I've been to so far. And while I was in Spain, my friend in Spain, he lives in a village. And from what I understand, you guys have villages too, somewhat. Like you have like a local pub and you can just kind of walk around and stuff. I think that's really nice. Oh, you know what? The reason why mobs keep spawning is because nighttime is so bright when it starts, so I wait too long and then everything spawns. That makes sense. What do you think of virtual reality? Have you ever played the Oculus or anything similar? I actually have played. Um, my friend from middle school, the one that I went to visit, last weekend, is he went to school for tech, so he's a very, he did STEM, and he's a very techie person, and he has a lot of different stuff, and he let me try his, I don't remember if it was a Rift or if it was like an off-brand one. Um, it honestly it made me feel like I was poisoned with radiation or something, if I'm gonna be honest. It made me very overwhelmed. I was not used to it, but I've never done it, so it was too overwhelming for me to enjoy. It was fun. Don't get me wrong. Um, I played a game called Super Hot. I think that's one of the most popular ones, and that one was really fun. You know what? I think I can just make... Oh, crap. Okay. I think I can make pumpkin pie for food. Be an easy thing to... Well, actually, I think there's ingredients. Like sugar. Yeah, you should come to England. I used to live in a village. Now I live in a town. Maybe you should go to a more rural place. London is too busy. Yeah. I haven't heard too many good things about London nowadays. I think it's just a bit too busy for me. But yeah, I would love to visit like farmland or, rural village-esque areas. You know what? I think I can make mushroom soup if I can find the other mushrooms. Or if I can just forage for some more berries, I believe I ate all of the ones that are from around here. Or I could eat chicken. Oh, it's a lot of mushrooms. But it's only one kind. You know, I mentioned in my previous video that I've been dealing with debating on finishing my college up or not, my degree, my associate's degree. And one of the things that I have to do to figure out how many classes I actually have, because basically I thought I was going to do 4, and because it's been too long, my degree has changed, the program has changed, so a couple of the courses that I had already taken and paid for, they don't apply anymore. You know, when I look at my progress, they don't even count. So that's frustrating. That's one thing. And the other thing is there's a couple new courses that I have to take that are new now. You know, I was talking to an advisor, and she was like, because my degree is 5 years old. I started it in 2020, but I did it up to 2022, so, technically it's only a couple years, but the program itself is 5 years old. And she's like, we can't really, because, I tried to ask if something could be honored, anything, because, for example, I have a business elective that I need to do. And I was like, okay, well, I took business technical writing, so hopefully, can't you guys at least honor my credit for an elective and just use it as an elective rather than just a nothing, and not, because it is a business class. And they were like, no, you see here, it says like the types of whatever, it's fine. Basically, the system does not budge, and even for my math class, I couldn't honor any credits. Where was I going with that? Well, basically, one of the classes that I have to take is another math class, and apparently that math class requires a certain level of placement. And because my high school diploma doesn't apply anymore, they basically are treating me like, I've never graduated or anything, because they're like, well, this is too old. We can't look at this, even though, I'm honors AP, whatever. The problem is it's all like quadratic formula, like graphs and stuff that was hammered into my mind during school. But obviously I don't remember any of that stuff. So that's going to be really difficult. And I don't know where I'm going to place, because she said that I have to take at least one class before I take that math class. So I have to take 2 math classes. But that's if I place really high on the placement test. If I don't do that, I might have to take 3 classes or 4 classes, depending on where I sit. And it's very frustrating. Or it's just kind of funny, because it's like, yeah, obviously it's my fault, but I guess it just sucks that the system does not, they just treat my high school diploma like I didn't even get it, which is kind of ridiculous. And that's why, to anyone who's taking college, I would just say finish it, because if you take some time off, and that 1 year turns to 2 and 3, I believe she said that after 2 years everything is void, it's better to just push through and finish it, because it gets so much harder. Trust me. I think you would like it. There's lots of farmland, unfortunately, though. It is slowly being built on these days. We have the same problems as you with too many houses being built. Yeah. Too many people, unfortunately. I wish I was born a bit earlier so I could experience a little bit more of the world before it gets overrun by how many people there are. Because I really enjoy quiet, old, historic, and slash farmland type, you know. I do enjoy and understand the city, but we need, we, as in America and the UK, whatever, we need our space, right? We need, we need to preserve things and not just tear them all down, to put in more and more and more housing to boost the economy. It's a tricky subject, obviously, because we need to keep the economy up, but it just sucks to see all the noise drowning everything out. I'm taking a college business class right now, and I dislike it, but it's required. I've changed my degree like a million times because I'm not passionate about anything specific. Yeah, I feel that. I definitely feel that. You're taking a business class right now and you dislike it. For me, what I disliked the most about the business classes was all the HR stuff. It just doesn't, I don't do well with that type of stuff, and because a lot of the questions that they would ask me, I would answer with like an efficient question or an efficient answer, that's only looking at efficiency, but then they would be like, no, that's not the right answer. The right answer is, we have to think about, all the, how people feel and stuff, and that was a bit hard for me to grasp, I guess. I'm not trying to sound like a bad person, but if I'm put in a business setting, I'm going to be thinking about what's most efficient for the business, right? Because everyone benefits, right? The thing that I don't really get about HR is sometimes it seems like they care more about people's feelings than people getting paid, almost, because if if the company is doing well, then everyone's going to benefit from it, right? I don't know. I'm not that oh, you know what? Oh no, I don't think he can get me. That sucks. I forgot anything I learned in school right after the exam. Can't imagine trying to learn it again, especially math. Yeah. Oh, so what I was saying with that is I'm going to take the placement test because it's free. And I'm just going to see where I place. And then I'll just know for sure my situation. Oh no. Probably going to die again. One thing that sucks is I'm not able to play this game very well. Okay, there we go. I might as well play peaceful mode, to be honest. I'm gonna at least... Yeah, well, I'm stuck in my house now. I'm gonna at least take the exam, see where I stand, and, at least I'll know. But I think I know what I'm gonna do. This past week I've been just completely grinding on, as soon as I get off of work, I grind on the music stuff, and I'm trying to get into something called sync placement. That's what I'm trying to do with music. Sync placement is basically writing music for any sort of media or entertainment, whether it's commercials or TV shows or games, anything. And there's these things called music libraries, and you pitch to these libraries, and the libraries pitch your music. If you get placed in the library, they pitch the music to organizers that are looking for music, for anything, whether it's an ad or a game or anything. I chose that route because I am not I'm trying to find the right word. Creative is not the right word, but I'm not, oh my god. I'm not it's too. If I were to chase, or if I were to try to be an artist, like an independent artist, I feel like that would be too stressful for me. And I wouldn't say that I want to be an artist more than I want to be financially free and stable. And I think that the way that I am, I would much rather, if I'm going to do music, I found the sync placement stuff, and that seems a bit more safe and a bit more lucrative and a bit more structured, because I need structure in my life in order to feel safe, I guess. So I'm making like a compromise, at least right now, to chase sync placement, because I can be an independent artist, a composer, and pitch my stuff to people, and I can build my brand from the ground up without a degree or anything. It's basically just, if I get good enough, they can accept my music. Yeah. So that's what I'm doing, and that's kind of the path I'm choosing, because if I do that for a living, then I can get better at music, and my own music might be better. And then who knows? I'll do that on the side, and I'll post that on my channel when I do make music on my own. I think the system is helping you make your decision for your next step. I agree with that, because I very much dislike the system. And one thing that I learned, this is a big lesson for me as I get, as I age and get older, I've reached a point in my life where I am starting to really see the solidification of my consequences and my choices in life. I've always been sort of a person that has disliked and hasn't really fit inside the system, education system, for example. And now that I've been outside of it, I've always been kind of like, whether I skip class or I just kind of, I don't, I just try to be as efficient as possible when dealing with school. I'm able to get decent grades, or I was, back then, but I would cut corners, or, I was just able to kind of wing it. And I had issues with teachers, and I was told that, actually a teacher, and I'm not making this up, I had a teacher tell me that, if I, he said that I would not make it in college, basically. I don't remember how he said it, but he was like, your attitude or whatever, like, you're just not gonna, college is gonna spit you out, and you're not gonna be successful. That's basically what he said. I mean, it's just kind of the classic, like, when people say, like, oh yeah, my teacher told me that I'm never gonna amount to anything. I had a bit of that experience. Man, there's so much to talk about with this, but I have learned now, I have seen for myself the result of time being a type of way where I'm choosing to not really like take part in the system, and now I am locked out of it, actually, and I am solidified as a person that is not in the system. I don't know if that makes sense, but as a young person, I've always been able to kind of be fluid. I've always been, because I'm young, I'm fluid, where it's like, oh, if I can pivot and make a change in my decision and be like, okay, well, actually I want to do this. And that's how we are as young people, And for the first time, I'm experiencing what it's like for the consequences of my actions to solidify me as a person in society, if that makes sense. Because now I can't go back. or it's really hard for me to go back. I'm actually sacrificing a lot. And I'm at a crossroads, right? I hope that made sense. But I do believe that it's made my decision a lot easier, because it's like, okay, I've already made a decision to myself. I'm 24 years old. I'm going to spend every day of the rest of my life intentionally. And I already know that I want to do this channel. I already know that I'm decent at music. And I want to work with my strengths, right? And then this experience with school, trying to go back to something that I don't even like, and I was kind of, pressured into anyway. They're actually kind of telling me that they don't want me, so that's kind of like okay, well, might as well go full throttle into what I enjoy in the first place, right? I hope that this gameplay isn't too stressful, because I have one heart. It's not very peaceful. Let's see. Actually, I have to scroll up. I really appreciate all the comments. And I'm sorry for rambling. Same problem, I'm not passionate about... Hold on, sorry. Same problem, I'm not passionate about anything specific, so I ended up just doing a 2-year marketing associate's degree. Yeah. Like, I guess I was smart choosing an associate's degree. It was a business associate's, and I do wish that I finished it, because it would just be something on my belt. But I think I'm coming to grips with the fact that decision has been made, and that time has passed for me to do that, and now I just have to accept my decision and move forward, It's not the end of the world that I won't have a degree, right? And I need to... This is a good lesson for me to be like, okay, my decision, my actions hold weight, and it's time to move forward with that, and my life will be altered, my life experience. I have to go with that. We need green spaces, yeah, for sure. I started off with a major in computer programming and have switched it to film production. Film production. When I was younger, I was really into directing little short films and stuff. That was one of the things I was into. My friends and I, because for the last 10 years I've been on a farm, we would make little short films on the farm, with airsoft guns and stuff, and we would make little action stuff, and I had like a antique like army helmet that someone had given me, and holy crap, I'm gonna die. And that was something that when I was young, like when I was like between 10 or actually before that, I was making little films by myself, with my iPod, and I would use After Effects, like CS3 or CS5, like a pirated version of After Effects, and that was fun. And then I got into music production when I was 9, and I've been doing that ever since. My first production software was I think it's called Rebirth. It's like a loop. It's like a really old loop making thing. I don't know if it's called Rebirth or Reaper or something. It's made by Propellerhead, the same people who made Reason, which was the second one that I used for about a year. And then I moved on to... Oh my god. Then Hold on. Then I moved on to Ableton Live, and that's what I've been using ever since. I'm just gonna be up here. We're just gonna watch the sunrise. I really appreciate all the comments, guys. You know, I was always afraid when I started streaming that I wouldn't have anything to talk about, but okay. Somehow he found me. I really apologize for the gameplay. It's probably the worst gameplay you've ever seen. Wow, that's cooked. Alright. But you know, it's all for the fun of it, right? My business professor really knows how to make learning so boring. All the material sucks. I think the class is only fun if the professor is awesome and passionate about teaching. I agree, and I also agree that community college, which is what my only experience with college, one thing that I can say positively about community college, besides just the fact that it's cheaper and you know you can find ways of like transferring into a 4-year for less money and whatnot. I do really I really recommend anyone to try community college if you're not sure what you want to do and you want to get into if you want to get into college. If you have some sort of form of community college where you are, I highly recommend it. But with community college, the professors, in my experience at least, seem to be like working people. They're not people who went to school to learn how to be a professor and that's all the experience they have. They were people like, I had an accounting class and the teacher has been an accountant for like 60 years and she's still an accountant. So she knows what she's talking about and she can insert her own knowledge into that. So I do appreciate that. I'm going to take your advice and try to at least get my first book published. I highly recommend that you do, because you will never know. You will never know. You don't want to be on your, like, I don't want to be morbid, but you don't want to be on your deathbed, because you don't want to be on your deathbed knowing that you never tried. And you'll never know. You're going to regret that. Because think about it. You're an established person with a job, right? Your life is not going to end if you submit a book, right? The only thing that's going to happen is good, in my opinion, because even if you get rejected, if you're able to get some sort of criticism or feedback, it can help you get better, right? Like, that's the only way that you're actually, like, that's the most efficient way to getting better at writing. If you have a dream of being better at writing, I suggest what you do instead of trying to get better at writing is to submit, because I assume you've been doing writing, for a while. You're familiar with it. I recommend, instead of trying to write, I recommend trying to get as much content out as possible and to fail as much as possible, because you are going to learn so much more from your failure and criticism than anything else. That's my advice. That's what I would do, at least. And that's kind of what I'm doing with my music. I'm just putting it out there. It's not perfect, it's not polished, but I've been sitting on some of it, and I've been procrastinating and worrying, and perfect is the enemy of good, right? That's a really good quote. Perfect is the enemy of good. If you're aiming for perfection, perfection is how you get an analysis paralysis and you never go anywhere, right? And ironically, if you're too perfectionist, the thing that you're working on, you kind of lose touch of reality, and it might even just become something that people don't even relate to, right? But I just suggest that you do it because you only have one life and you like writing, and that should just be part of your life, right? And so don't hold it to yourself, put it out there. And if it's scary, I would recommend maybe just see it as like you're trying to get better just by submitting stuff and trying to get criticism. I appreciate the support for going forward with the sync and with the music. I have high hopes. I think that it can work. I just need to grind and face my fears. Oh, and just ignore the teachers. You're referring to my teacher from high school. Yeah, honestly, I do not think about that at all, if I'm going to be frank. I actually just remembered that now. It's not something that affects me at all, somehow. I guess I'm lucky. But yeah, it does not affect me. Oh, this is a nice little... Can I put this in here? Nice. I feel very old playing Minecraft because I don't really understand a lot of the new stuff. There needs to be some sort of reform with the education system. It kind of blows. Kids have to worry about going in and being bullied or shot, and the teachers behave like they hate their job. I agree with that. I feel like there's so much wrong with the education system right now, especially unfortunately with elementary school and the younger years. There's so much stuff being pushed on kids nowadays that I think it's not appropriate. I'm not trying to be political or anything. I'm just saying in general, there's a lot of stuff that I feel like there's a lot of pressure and stress that we put on kids nowadays to be, politically correct and to be like little adults, right? When they're really just there in school to make friends and learn how to submit assignments and learn how to be a person, right? And just have experiences. That's just my opinion looking in at the education system right now, and I agree that what you mentioned with it being. I remember reading so much about how it's just so easy for kids to get bullied, and it gets overlooked, and yeah, I just feel like the people in charge of the education system are just concerned with things that do not matter, and they should be concerned with mental health of the kids and just letting them have fun for a few years, right? And learn the basics of being a human being. Yeah, and in regards to doing your own research and not just school is not for everyone. College, at least. I think you should go to high school. Every kid that I have met a few kids a few different cases of homeschooled kids, and I don't I don't want to say I pity them because I don't look down on them, but I feel like they missed out on crucial developmental skills that they should have been cultivating that everyone else has. They seem to be very anxious people. They tend to be more anxious than other kids because they don't really know how to navigate a lot of stuff. But in terms of college, it really depends on you, right? I would say if you're not sure, I would say, if you want to be safe, get an associate's degree. If you don't have a clear path yet, it's a good use of your time when you get right out of high school. I would say if I were to redo my life getting right out of high school, and Jesus, we we have to assume, we have to assume that I don't know what I want to do yet, and I'm fresh out of high school. If there's one thing that I could change, it would be to just do the degree and get it done. Because at the end of the day, it's just 2 years of my life, and I'm like 19, so I get out at 21, and I'm still young, and not much was lost, right? Because the thing about community college is you can have a life outside of community college. You can take 2 to 3 classes at a time, right? It's not crazy. It's not like high school. It's not grade school, right? It does make sense. You have learned a deep life lesson that your choices have implications and consequences. Yeah. Now you can move forward. Actually, can I see it on the screen? Yeah, I can. Now you can move forward. Not everyone who is successful must have a college degree. That is true. And while it's still unfortunate, because I was in a position where I could have completed it, like I said before, it's done. That decision was made, and it's time to move forward. I think that's the lesson, ultimately. My lesson is just to move forward. I made that decision. I'm not invincible anymore. I can't just go back go back and forth and be all wishy-washy where it's like, oh, well, actually, I want to do this and all that, which is a good life lesson. It's important. It's very important, I would say. I appreciate you sharing your life experiences. Yeah, of course. It's all I can do. I don't have a degree. If I took another job, I would just retrain and do a course, not like a full degree. Yeah, that's another thing. There's jobs that just require like a certificate or something, and that's perfectly fine. Just take like a few months to a year max. If it's something crazy like cybersecurity or something, it's like, okay, maybe a year or so. I'm not sure. I might be wrong, but for most things, I would say maybe like 4 to 6 months is what I've read, with the research that I've done on different things. But, for me, I can't see myself doing anything. But then I was like, but why am I not just focusing on the things that I enjoy doing and have a little bit of faith in them, right? I think that was the thing that I had the most trouble with, is just having faith in myself. Because at the end of the day, I do have things that I'm interested in. I'm interested in and decent at music. I have a few thousand hours of work in music on my belt. I would say if it takes 10,000 hours to get good at something, I've done almost half, to master it. I've done about half. I'd say I'm probably halfway there to actually being like good, like objectively good, where I could just easily take any job that has anything to do with music or sound design or something, even though I don't have any credentials in that regard. It's fine. I wonder if there's any fish over here. I don't know how you multitask. And I apologize. I need to speed up my answers because I feel bad for making your comments sit there and be all stale. I don't know how you multitask like this, playing a game, reading questions, having to think about the game while answering our questions. My brain would shut down. Yeah, I mean, that's what I'm experiencing, but as long as you guys are okay with me not getting anywhere in this game, um, I think I'll just take a very sedentary approach to this game and just maybe work on building a fortress, so that I can just exist and not have to do anything. I agree with what you said about community college. It is a good start and less expensive if someone is doing going for a 4-year degree. Yeah, so for me, if I really wanted to, I believe, this isn't offered to me anymore. And that's why, if anything, I suggest if you're going to do college, do it right when you get out of high school, because all the perks are gone once you're not in high school anymore, and it's been a couple years. I was told that, but I didn't care at the time, and now I have to live with that, which is fine. But what was I saying? Oh yeah, if you have a local 4-year college, sometimes the community college in your area and the 4-year college, the full university of your state or whatever, like in your area, in your state, in your province or whatever you call it in your where you live. At least for me and where I live, you can, if you get out of high school, go into an associate's degree, you can transfer to that full university, for like a fraction of the cost. Like like in instead of paying like 60K a year, you're paying like 20. I apologize, my crap. My camera is shut off. Hold on a second. Okay. Sorry about that. Yeah. It was a fraction of the cost, so I recommend that. Oh, if you keep forgetting about the game and paying attention to me listening, that's all I hope. You've never played Minecraft before, okay. Yeah. Well, that's good. I'm always worried. I think there was another person in here last time that they were giving me recommendations and stuff on what to do, and I feel bad because they probably play the game and they're like, this guy, he's really bad. Okay, thank you for letting me know that you can see me. I appreciate that. Thankfully, I have uh, a thing that's showing, my face on the side. So, but yeah, thank you for telling me. I forgot to ask you. That would suck if I could see myself, but not you guys. I got a timer or an alarm, and it just completely shut everything off. So, because I'm using my phone. But yeah. So that's what I've been dealing with lately. This week, this whole week has been all about college and calling people and Zoom calls. Oh my God, man, it really showed me how much I hate dealing with the system. Um, Most specifically, the fact that these schools use like a million different third party um, they use third party programs for everything. And I think that this applies to like corporate work. If any of you guys work in corporate, like if you're an accountant or you do data entry or something, I'm sure you have to deal with this too, where your specific work has all these like weird third party, like, oh, you have to log into this and you have to sign up for that and you have to make sure that this is on when you're using this and you have to reach me through this, and it's so like school does that too. And I actually had an issue with it when I was doing my degree, because they were making me sign up for something that I didn't want to sign up for. Because the thing with these people who work for the school, they don't know anything about tech, and that's why they're so lazy, and they literally just outsource to any third party that um that that comes first, right? And it's anyone. Like, you don't know who these people are, that this company, you've never heard of this company that they're using to, like, in my case, it was to track that I was like on this, because I was taking a test from home, and it was like, oh, we have to have your webcam on. I had to get a webcam. I don't know where it is anymore. It was like $10. You have to download this app that makes sure that you have no other applications on your computer open. It's like, obviously it's anti-cheat, which I understand. But I was reading the terms and conditions, not even fully. It was literally just like, it was honestly, it was just common sense. Basically, because I got a warning on my computer when I was, setting this thing up, and it was like, this program has to access your network, your internet network, and all the devices that are on that network. Not just my computer that I'm using it, but all the devices. Every device. My phone, other people's computers, my laptop, my iPad, whatever, anything that I have. And I was like, okay, who are these people that are accessing it, And I wrote an email, I wrote an email to the board, and I was like, you guys need to, I don't consent to this. You're making me, is there any way that I can do this without having to sign up to this weird third party thing that they're not vetted at all. And in fact, when I looked up the company, they have a lot of bad reviews, because I remember people were, like, they're just not a reputable company. There's some random startup. It could be anybody, right? Some random corporate, they have a nice logo or something that the people at the college really liked. But that's it. Nothing else. No credentials or anything. I just don't like that. So I actually ended up, they didn't respond to me, and I had to go take the test in person. So yeah, so many logins, so many authentications. It's crazy. It's insane. It feels very violating for me of my privacy, if I'm going to be honest. I mean, so just now it's like I had to talk to an advisor, on Zoom. And on the phone, I gave them my email, and they're like, okay, we're going to contact you through there. And they set up the Zoom through the email that I gave them, which I consent to because I gave them that email. But then when it came time, when the day came to do the Zoom meeting, I was sitting, I had the link, because the appointment was scheduled on Google. So I clicked the link to the Zoom, and I was sitting there, and then, I get a call downstairs, and I have to go down, and I pick up the phone, and they're like, oh, just a reminder that the Zoom meeting is right now. And I'm like, yeah, I'm sitting in it, I'm waiting. And she's like, oh no, I sent you another link. And I sent it to and I was like, well, which email did you send it to? And she's like, oh, I sent it to your student email. And I'm like, I haven't used my student email in forever. I don't have it set up. Thankfully, obviously, obviously that's on my part. So I wasn't angry or anything. And thankfully she forwarded the email to the one that I had set up, and I was able to get on. But then I realized, I need to set my student email back up, and it's through Microsoft and all that stuff. And then, when I was trying to log in on Outlook, it was like, you need to give the school permission to control and view your computer. And I was like, oh my God, man. And I don't even know if I'm going back. So, it's ridiculous. My school's knowledge in technology is really archaic. Like, the school website looks like it hasn't been updated since 2000, and the teachers don't even know how to navigate Canvas. Yeah. I would say the people in the school system don't know anything about tech, and the people in the government, local government, when I have to do taxes and I have to pay taxes for my local state, the website is, I almost have a migraine every time I try to do my taxes online, because the website was literally made in 1990, and I try to hover over the, it's an official website. It's got that classic hot bar at the top, and it's one of those ones where instead of clicking on it to drop down the menu, you hover over it, and then the menu opens, and then obviously you drag your mouse down to select what you want. But as soon as you take the mouse off of the hot bar, it disappears. And I have to spend multiple minutes trying to futz with it and become a genius at like doing it at the right second so that my mouse lands on it and it doesn't disappear. Oh man, that stuff makes my blood boil. I can't deal with it because I'm all about efficiency, and it's like, okay, you're making me do this, but you're not even capable. Like, you're not even up to date with, like, you're not even making it easy for me. You're making it hard. So yeah. The struggle is definitely real, yeah. I really hate it. But all the more reason to carve my own path, right? There's no excuse for this lack of technology in 2025. We have driverless cars and virtual reality, for God's sake. Exactly. But unfortunately, the people who are running these programs and corporations, they've been around since forever. And until they get replaced, it's going to be the 90s. So I think that does it for this stream. I don't want to do it too long. I really appreciate you guys for coming on, and I'm sorry about the technical difficulties, and I'm sorry about the gameplay, but I appreciate that you guys stick around in spite of that. I really appreciate that, and I really appreciate talking to you guys. I really enjoy it. Every time that I come on here, I enjoy it more and more, and I really want to do this regularly. I want to continue to do it. So thank you guys so much for that, and I will see you next time.